The Colosseum was not originally called the Colosseum.
No, that's a term that only goes back to the early Middle Ages. The Romans called it the Flavian Amphitheater because Vespasian's family name was Flavius, so Flavian. And it's an amphitheater, or kind of a double theater, an oval in shape. The Romans certainly didn't call it Colosseum, but they did call this enormous statue the Colossus. It's a statue of the sun god.
By 80 AD, the Colosseum was complete. But Vespasian didn't live to see the grand opening of his greatest monument. He had died of natural causes the previous year, so his son and successor, Titus, led the inaugural celebration. Construction on the Colosseum began in 72 AD. It was financed by the sale of precious relics taken from the Jewish temple during Vespasian's sacking of Jerusalem. 12,000 Jewish captives were brought back from that campaign to build the amphitheater.
They would have worked under tremendously harsh conditions and been worked long and hard and to the end.
They poured more than 6,000 tons of concrete and hauled huge travertine building blocks to the site from a quarry 20 miles away.
As the building progressed up higher, they would use less of the strong, expensive and heavy limestone and more of the cheaper ingredients, which were lighter in weight. The Romans had quite sophisticated wooden cranes and devices for lifting stones, and they'd be able to do that quite easily from the ground and up to great heights.
Roman amphitheaters were constructed from a surprisingly simple framework, incorporating 2 Greek theaters back to back to form one 360-degree theater in the round. The Colosseum set a new standard for Roman amphitheater design. It contained an intricate network of corridors and staircases that could shuffle 70,000 Romans in and out in record time. As with stadiums today, everyone who entered the Colosseum had a ticket corresponding to the number of the Colosseum even had a retractable roof. On hot days, an awning called a velarium was unfurled above the upper deck to shade spectators from the sun. It was operated by sailors from the Roman Navy, who were stationed around the top of the Colosseum's arcade.
They could move it according to the sun and according to the wind, and subsequently, Colosseum was amazingly air-conditioned, shaded, and they would stand on top of the arcade and work these poles, the holes of which we can see in the external side, that would hold this immense canvas that would cover the place.
Of the Colosseum, we're looking down.
This is, in a way, a mirror of Roman society. The best seats are the ones farthest down, closest to the arena, and that was reserved for the emperor, top office holders, priests, and so on. Then behind them were the senators, behind them the wealthy businessmen, and behind them the freeborn normal citizens. At the very top sat women, slaves, and foreigners.
So what were they coming to watch?
As we can see now, what's going on is the main thing that we associate.
For 100 straight days, Romans flocked to the Colosseum to soak in every kind of carnage imaginable. 5,000 animals were slaughtered in a single day. Thousands of gladiators and prisoners left as corpses. Outside the arena, bloodshed on this scale was known only in war. But inside, it was pure entertainment.
They go for the entire day. And in the morning, they watch men kill or be killed by animals. And around noontime, they're watching the execution of prisoners. And then finally, in the afternoons, when the main event, primetime TV kind of experience, is the best for last, and that's going to be gladiators, man against man.
Gladiatorial fights were a big draw at the Colosseum, but they weren't always the main event. Several ancient writers describe live naval battles recreated right in the middle of the arena, with battleships, on water,
It would have been entirely possible to have diverted.
We do have evidence due to recent studies of the Colosseum that show there are plenty of channels, water channels, for flooding the substructures of the Colosseum. So yes, it was possible, and yes, it happened.
Within a decade, flooding operations were abandoned in favor of a renovation that would revolutionize the Games. A new two-story substructure beneath the arena called the Hypogeum. Within it were a system of elevators and trapdoors that enabled tigers and armed gladiators to suddenly pop up through the floor and slaughter their unsuspecting victims.
Although the real spectacle happened up here in the arena, the backbone, the nerve center, the real support system of the arena was down below in the Hypogeum. And there were lion runs, cages for wild animals being taunted, gladiators sharpening their swords preparing for death, condemned criminals in cages. Now, as the games begin, a trapdoor in the arena floor will open, and by a system of pulleys, an elevator will hoist another lion or panther up into the arena. When the trapdoor opens, we're bathed in light. We hear the yells of the throng enjoying the games, and then the trapdoor will close again, leaving us contemplating our own demise amongst the screams and lamentations and stench of blood, beasts, and men.
Before she died, legend says, Mumtaz Mahal made a wish for a mausoleum more sublime than any the world had seen. This will be Shah Jahan's task for the rest of his life, to erect the world's most beautiful building in her memory. The Great Mogul's engineers dig deep wells to below the water table. Then they fill them up with rocks and mortar. On this base, the master builders erect stone columns, linked together by massive arches. The result? A solid mountain of stone to support the foundation slab of the building, protecting the Taj from the currents of the Yamuna River forever. Taj Mahal combines the very best elements of the memorials to Shah Jahan's forefathers. The tomb of his own father provides the model for the minarets. His great-grandfather's mausoleum had 4 corner turrets surrounding a central core. The 4 mighty portals are inspired by his grandfather's tomb. And Shah Jahan took the form of the Great Dome from the memorial to a famous ancestor. Different models, united in perfect harmony. An optical trick went into the building of the minarets too. They leaned slightly outwards. If they were truly vertical, they would seem to be leaning inwards. By leaning away from each other, they look perfectly upright. And that brings another advantage. In an earthquake, the minarets would collapse outwards, sparing the Taj and its mighty dome. In 1632, just 6 months after Mumtaz Mahal's death, work begins on the Taj Mahal. It will be the greatest building project of the age. Some say that over 20,000 workers slaved on the building. A court chronicler captures the scene.
And from all sides of the imperial territories were assembled troop after troop of skilled men, stonecutters, inlayers, and those who do carving in relief, each one an expert in his craft, who began work together with the other laborers.
Millions of bricks are baked on the spot for the shell of the building. The Taj rises at record speed. The white marble for the Taj Mahal comes from quarries at Makrana in Rajasthan, still in use today. Makrana marble is already famous in Shah Jahan's time. Hard, yet easy to work, it's prized for its fine detail and high polish. The Great Mogul has reserved Makrana marble for imperial buildings. The marble slabs are carried more than 400 kilometers to the site of the Taj Mahal. Construction consumes colossal amounts of this fabulous stone. With the skeleton of the building complete, the bricks disappear forever beneath the pure white facade. It's this smooth, glowing stone that gives the Taj Mahal its unique impact. The Great Mogul decrees that visitors from the outside world will be made welcome in his empire. He knows there is much to gain from the exchange. So, travelers from east and west are regularly seen at Shah Jahan's court. Europeans can easily be spotted by their exotic headgear. Both sides benefit from this transcontinental contact. The Europeans are drawn by the precious fabrics, spices, and gemstones. European merchants pay with silver and bring new ideas to the Mughal Empire. The Taj Mahal itself demonstrates the links between India and Europe. Sumptuous stone flowers adorn the filigree marble latticework and cover the entire interior of the Taj Mahal. Techniques and motifs coming from distant Europe. These mosaics of semi-precious stones are called pietra dura. Pietra dura is Italian for hard stone. In the Renaissance, these precious inlays decorated palaces. This craft of stone cutting traveled from Italy to India, where it experienced a new heyday. In the Pietra Dura workshops of India, the techniques haven't changed in hundreds of years. Many families have been doing this for 17 or 18 generations. These are the direct descendants of the craftsmen who worked on the Taj Mahal. Pietra Dura is a tough craft to master. The mosaics are made of tiny colored stones set into marble. A craftsman cuts hundreds of stones for a single mosaic, each shaped and positioned with perfect precision. He needs just as much skill to carve the flower shapes into the marble, creating the setting for the precious stones. After the final delicate corrections, a special glue sets the stones in their recesses. Painting in stone is one of the glories of Indian craftsmanship. But no chronicles record the names of the artists who decorated the Taj Mahal. Right beside the marble edifice, the gardens begin.
The garden is the heart of the Taj Mahal. It's an earthly picture of the paradise of the Quran. Two paths divide the terrain into 4 squares. The channels along the paths represent the rivers of paradise in the Quran. Where the channels meet, there's a pool. This is symbolic of the celestial pool where the faithful quench their thirst when they arrive in paradise.
Partly because its Mughal architects used some remarkable optical tricks. The first view of the monument is framed by the main gate. As the visitor moves closer, the Taj Mahal seems to get smaller. It seems to grow bigger as you walk away. The guides here say, when you leave, you take the Taj with you in your heart.
Taj Mahal is deeply symbolic. The worldly elements and other buildings are all clad in red sandstone. White is reserved for the mausoleum. This is to be a building of enlightenment, an earthly representation of the heavenly house where Mumtaz Mahal will live for eternity. The pure white stands for the spirituality and faith of the person buried here.
The mausoleum and garden form an indivisible unity. And the interior of the mausoleum itself is modeled after the 8 paradises of the Quran. 8 chambers surround the central space beneath the dome. Mumtaz Mahal's coffin lies here. Before long, it attracted pilgrims from far and wide. At the center of the mausoleum is the Holy of Holies, the most splendid room in the Taj Mahal, the final resting place of Shah Jahan's bride. The Taj Mahal conceals a final mystery. The coffin seen in the mausoleum is only a cenotaph, an empty monument. Mumtaz Mahal lies in a secret marble chamber below. There she rests, undisturbed. (1643). The Taj Mahal is finished. It has taken 12 years. The poet described it: a teardrop on the cheek of time.